Hey, welcome back everybody to Roadside Nuggets. Hope everyone's been doing good. Been riding these waves and surfing these waves pretty good, I hope. If you're doing your practice and disciplines, you should be doing all right at this point. Um, Man, yeah, there's a lot coming in. We've been talking a lot over the last couple of days about ramping up energies, things that are increasing in intensity on this planet. That is only going to keep on continuing as we move forward, of course. Now, the key to all this is to understand that you are becoming a more multidimensional, multifold, consciously aware person. This isn't a process that's just happening to you. It is only happening in what we would say the pace that your conscious awareness can register it on, because these are all things that you have to be consciously fully aware of by the end of the process. So, of course, the mounting energy and the intensity is going to be very, very irritating and agitating to both, your physical being, just your emotions, how and where you are at the moment. It's all going to play into it, and really it's just about getting solid, getting grounded, bringing yourself back into breathing properly within yourself, centering yourself in your heart. All these processes are going to occur. They already are occurring. They have been occurring already. So the only constant within this whole process is you maintaining your discipline and practice, which will set the pace for you to get the best acceleration out of this you can. Um, which leads me to this next big thing we're going to talk about today, which is control, the death of control. And that is by far one of the widest, most spread programmings and conditionings on this planet, where everyone has extreme amounts of control in a whole multitude of ways. The control stems from externalization all the way to internalized control. You name it. Down every lane and layer we've got, there is some form of control in this thing that humanity has either been through generational, just being born through generations and traditional programming and I would say conditionings through family, church, religion, things like that. There's all kinds of different forms of control tied to many different forms of life that we coexist with. Um, Definitely the thing with control, it's mostly backed by fear. It's mostly backed by fear, distrust, paranoia, insecurity, lack of confidence, instability in your own being, not feeling safe, not feeling grounded, not feeling like you have a solid foundation to stand on. Thus that brings in control. Because the control is really stemming out of the fear of not being able to dictate the end result, which ultimately your fear is backing that because you have to be able to know what the end result is. You have to know how it plays out, what happens, how's it going to work. All forms of control, because you cannot accept the unknown possibilities that they could actually be a lot grander. They could be more than you possibly conceive, but the mind base and fear cannot accept that. Therefore, it has to go into logic, analytics, look at it from a black and white standpoint, and try to decipher and predict and project onto, its target what is going to happen to provide some sense of false comfort, false sense of stability and relief to the person temporarily, thinking that they've got control, thinking that they have a handle or a management on things in their external environment or within themselves. And most of them are all of them are unresolved, which is why control is a piece we try to put into, because it's not a resolved thing. We know there's a lot of faculties to the energy we're looking at to where we don't trust it, we don't trust ourselves with it, we don't know what to do with it, we don't know where to go with it. So therefore we'll implement control, try to manage, try to sustain, and just facilitate that. Pretty much keeping it stagnant, pretty much keeping it frozen out of present moment, out of the timeline, and just trying to box it in somewhere just to facilitate that. We'll just facilitate it, we'll manage it, we'll control it. We got this. All the while, the whole point is just to resolve it, feel into it, dissolve it. Whatever is backing that control, push into that, transform that, then the control is no longer necessary, right? But until we have the nerve, until we have the confidence and the assertiveness to face ourselves, to face our problems, face our issues, we will always have the control there. Because that's our external form of stability and sense of, okay, it's going to be okay. And it calms us temporarily until something happens, until someone externally threatens that control, or until we do something, whether through choice or by accident, we think, that contradicts our own control, which therefore causes a whirlwind storm to rip up, whether it's coming from the external or within your own self, because now the control has been threatened. And all the fear now is exploding out. It's coming up to the surface, all the worries, all the anxieties, and like what could have happened, this can happen, and that, what does it look like, and all these different things, projecting all these just lower frequency visions and thoughts and things onto the present moment experience, which may not be anything like that. But because of control, because of distrust, lack of faith, lack of vulnerability, it has to be what we have decided already premeditatively, which means back there. We already decided long moments ago what was going to happen. So by the time we get to the actual experience, we're not actually fully present and aware and vulnerable with the experience. We are all totally in premeditation. We are completely on a whole nother loop, thought loop, pretty much overlaying onto that experience what we think is going to happen, what is happening right now, and we're not actually paying attention in present aware of what actually is happening. And because of so much control, it does not allow us to receive. It does not allow you to hear, it doesn't allow you to see, it doesn't allow you to feel all kinds of things, because in your control, it's numb, it's locked down. It's like a vault. And if with a vault, you lock it down, it's like nobody's getting in there, right? That's the whole intention behind the ego programming with control, is just to basically lock it down and control it. You know? This presents a lot of issues for everyone across the board, because this has a lot to do with, you know, everyone's spirituality as well. You know, and for the longest time, most of us on this planet, most of the billions of people on this planet, the spirituality part wasn't really like the big driving force for a lot of humans on this planet. It was mostly the material, physical. That still and still remains to be most of the massive attachments on this planet, and where a lot of the control is stemming from too, leading into the internal. Because humanity still does not understand that everything reflecting outside of you in the external is always going to be a reflection of what is happening inside. Instead of understanding this, humanity has pushed more externally with it and projected this onto their external reality that's a reflection of themselves, and they are trying to purposefully fix these external things one by one, moving them around, tweaking them around, changing them into something else, upgrading them so they look new, they probably perform better. But all these different things are still forms of the control, or forms of the distrust, forms of the lack of faith and vulnerability, and actually, you know, trusting the unknown to happen. To where these things are just like their main driving forces: work, school, money, career, status, credit, you know, 401k, all these different things that help people in the ego mind think that they are secured. They have a foundation. They're stable. Because these external forms of energy say so. But if you actually ask the human being, without all these things, do you feel stable? If they were to disappear tomorrow, would you still feel stable? Would you feel secure in yourself? Would you feel okay? Or is all of that okayness and stability and secureness, is all that completely dictated by your external control on the things that you have, that you've secured that in? So that if that actually fell, you'd probably spin and lose your shit big time. Because now you would think you have no stability. You have no protection, no security, no abundance. when everything in our external life is constantly trickling out from our own being. And this is the thing where humanity wants to control even that. They want to control their awareness. They want to control their consciousness. They want to control their evolution. They want to control how they grow. They want to control how they mature. They want to control how life happens. And all that is a bunch of dysfunction that is now festering and manipulating their current experience, and they don't understand that. But it also leads to frustration, rage, anger, blame, hatred, lack, poverty, depravity, despair. All these things are driving humanity forward to obtain more of it, to get more of it, because they don't feel like they have enough, because the lack is still within. But they refuse, out of their own control, that they are the problem, that they are the issue, that there's something within them that's generating this. No, it's the economy, it's the blacks or whites, it's the Asians, it's the Filipinos, it's the Mexicans, it's food and produce, it's food shortage, it's drought, it's the water drought. That's the problem. It's like all these things, all these experiences, again, whether collective or not, whether it's a collective experience everyone's having or an individual one that you're having, it is still stemming and trickling from your own internal self. And you can't deny that. Unless your control gets in the way and causes you to think that then, again, it's an external problem. You see, with the control in this, we have to get to a part where in ourselves we have to be transparent. We have to realize, okay, I'm in control. I'm controlling this. You're either in control when you're not receiving or letting something in, or not allowing something, not, being vulnerable with something. That's control. If you're not sharing, giving, speaking, expressing, that's control. Why aren't you? Well, control. You don't think it's good enough. You don't think it's the time. You don't feel it's the right thing to say. You don't feel it'll be accepted. Whatever the reason is of why it's not happening, what's the thing causing it not to happen? The control. And which is backed by what? The fear. So these are main umbrella frequencies, I would call them. When we say umbrella frequencies, you have ego frequencies and you have core ego frequencies, which they're more like a net. They're more like the core root that everything stems from, an ego frequency. So with these core ones, like control, hatred, all that fear, these things drive a spider web of other dysfunctions on the surface, layers and layers and layers. But at the core of it, it's always been control. So if you can get to the root of it, if you can assess where you are controlling yourself, where you are in too much control, where you are not allowing yourself just to be, where you're not allowing yourself to express, where you're not allowing experiences come into your reality, where you're not allowing things to release, where you're not allowing yourself to heal, where you're not allowing yourself to reflect, where you're not allowing yourself to be centered, where you're not allowing yourself not to be attached to everything. It's all control. And it's all your control, my control. It's everyone's control. Because why? We think we know better. We think we know what's best. Or, based off our fears, we don't even want to give it a chance anymore because this might happen. So I won't. I won't trust it. I won't give it a chance. I won't go into it. I won't allow it. I won't surrender to it. I won't accept it. Complete rebellion, complete refusal. What? Out of control. Out of control. That's really the core frequency that backs a lot of that. And I know it's pinging a lot of you. I know a lot of you are looking at things within yourself energetically, like, holy shit, I'm talking to everybody, including myself. Even for beings who have been here on mission for years with the mom, it's like the amount of controls that we have and the amount of like how it comes out of us and how we express it and how we live through that, and why we justify it. What's our reason and purpose behind that? They're all just different deep layers of why you don't trust, of why you don't accept, of why you won't allow, why you won't surrender to the unknown. You see, the lack of faith, the lack of being vulnerable with a present moment experience that is based out of love. So really, what are you hiding from? What are you defending yourself from? What are you trying to get ahead of and stay out of range from? Your own fear of what could possibly happen that hasn't happened yet, that you have no idea or way of knowing if it will happen again. But because it happened once, you're so attached to that one experience, you can't bear the fact that it would happen a second time. So now you're going to control and distrust in God and everything around you that's keeping you breathing, your blood pumping, your body's still here, living life, experiencing things, waking up every day. But yet now you're going to distrust in life, and you're going to control and dictate how your life will go forward. You see how that works? It's so fucked up. It's so manipulative and deceptive even unto our own self, betraying our own truth and awarenesses just because of our own fear, just because of our own paranoias about experiences that we have not resolved or healed, but we cannot bear going through that again. Well, you wouldn't be scared of it. You wouldn't be worried about going through it again if the original lesson was learned and caught, received, transformed, forgiven, let go. Then there will be no reason for you to fear another coming around. So it's almost like the awareness and the ego is like fighting back and forth. In your awareness, you realize that this may be something that might come back around in another experience because you're bypassing and avoiding it. However, the ego comes in with fear and paranoia and trips you into control to block it out completely, instead of you just going back and dealing with the actual energy that you are aware might be coming back around. It might be your foresight, might be your clairsentience, whatever it is, but you are picking up in your senses that this is something that might happen again. It might come back around, it might come up again. But even in those moments, people trip out. They're like, okay, control, control, control. Even now, as it's trying to come up, control, control, control. Which will stem into a whole nother, more intense experience of that same nature to come back to you in your experience that will test your control. It will test you how much you will either back off your control or you'll step up even more control and create more intense experiences for yourself. Instead of just going back in that moment, you have that awareness and dealing with the problem. Looking at it, feeling into it, releasing it, writing about it, expressing to somebody or yourself about it. But you see, none of those things are done. Those are all bypassed, or even they're done half-ass. They're done with no intent. They're done with half-ass. They're done impatiently. No compassion or nurturing for yourself. You're trying to rush through like you have running shoes on and you're running a marathon for somebody, and you have no time for yourself. But yet when someone else comes in the picture, oh my God, I can stop the whole world for you. What is that? It's this dysfunction. Complete self-alienation and neglect of your own self to serve someone else in their dysfunction. Retarded, dumb. And that's where it leads to our control, because we keep externalizing it all as if this is our gauge, and it's really not. This is our gauge. And we have been running from our own self for so long that we have studied and dove into justifications and external validations for why these things should be accepted, why this should be allowed, why this should be okay. It's just the norm. It's just human life. Everybody's doing it. Allowing that dysfunction to keep coming into the reality and staying, maintaining itself as dysfunction because it's being accepted, it's being allowed, it's being supported. It's being supported in so many ways. And that is going to hit a whole nother level of halting for all of us. It's going to hit a wall. Because humanity in our traumas and just the pain and suffering humanity has been through, enabling and sympathy, those have become massive parts of the dysfunction of where humanity hasn't been able to make it out of the dysfunction because people think that's the right way to go. That, well, they're going through hard times. They're dealing with hard things. Just leave them alone. Don't say anything to them. Let them be. Let them figure it out. And it's like, you know what? On a higher etheric level, without the ego, without control, without you trying to suck someone's dick or kiss their ass just so you could have brownie points with them, if you actually could see how much they were suffering and really were fucked up inside, would you still say those same things? Oh, just leave them alone. Let them figure it out. they'll deal with it. They always come back around. Do you see how disassociative even that is to even say from an external point of view as a third person, as an observer? The complete lack of compassion and even the capacity to see how even saying that would prolong someone's suffering. That would prolong someone's pain by just letting them be in the dysfunction, let them take care of it, let them figure it out in dysfunction? Are you kidding me? Without you saying a word, without you sharing anything, without you allowing a higher truth, a higher realization, a higher vibration to come into that space and assist them to a higher one, to where they have to sit there and struggle on the same low frequencies the entire time, redundantly, over and over and over again, driving themselves insane. But you're sitting here observing it and could possibly help and assist and support, but yet, nah, just let them figure it out. Let them do it. That's fucked. Do you know how many people are bypassed on a daily basis when it could be just a simple word, it could be a simple smile, it could be a simple hug that could change their whole life around immediately, and yet people are too proud, they're too arrogant, they think they got it all, they think they got a big chip on their damn shoulders, walking around thinking they know it all, and yet they don't have to help anybody? How did you even get to that place where you're at now? How did you evolve and even expand to where you are now, but yet now you don't feel you have to help anyone else? There is nobody on this planet other than God that's self-proclaimed. God is the only one that fully realized herself. And she did that with a whole lot of shit, and nobody really helped her until the end. So there's nobody on this planet doing their own work on their own time, their own way, that's making it. That's basically not the same way everyone else is going to make it, okay? You don't got the map. You don't got the pamphlet with all the to-dos, the time schedules, what's happening, what's coming up. You don't got none of that. So really, the surrender and working in unity, that's really where we're going to start at. That's the beginning of unity consciousness, when we realize that we really are meant for each other. Every single person on this planet with a soul is born for everyone. We are born for each other in pure, perfect unity consciousness. Beyond relationship boundaries, beyond family boundaries, all these different things where we have like, oh, blood, a girlfriend, a husband, a wife, all these different things. Like, no, we were made for everyone. God created us for each other, for all of us, to enjoy, to learn and grow and expand with each other and create 5D on this planet. And no amount of control is going to be able to amount to that. You see, where you have control, you have religion, you have family structures, you have school, you have careers and jobs, all forms of control. So many mass layers of control. Then you get out of that. People just going traveling. So much control, traveling, so many rules, so many policies. There's control everywhere you turn in this world. Teaching humanity that control is okay when it is not. And control is what's going to constantly manifest the explosive experiences and the intensity that humanity doesn't really care for or like, but that's ultimately what's going to break away humanity from the control, is basically getting gaslit by God. That you don't control this. You don't control life, you don't control the plan, you don't control this planet, you don't control yourself. And that's really what we're going to get down to too, is self-control was an illusion as well. And I definitely had a lot of belief systems behind this, and I had to like really tear them away layer by layer by layer. You see, my parents were very military, especially my father. My whole life, military based. So the amount of control that I learned through my parents, and especially my father, was immense. All the way from external control to self-control. And I remember growing up as a child, and there's a lot of different moments, there's comments made to me, you know, because I was a very, very sensitive, very feeling person growing up. I was very aware of a lot of things. And I was very emotional too. And me being a guy, crying, having high emotions and very sensitive abilities, that's on the external, on the surface, it triggered, especially my dad's control a lot of times, where he would tell me to, you know, control yourself. Where's your self-control at? Restrain yourself. You're crying like a little girl. Pull it back in. rein it in. And it's like all these different forms to control me, to suppress, to push it back down. Don't realize, don't acknowledge what you're going through, don't even express it. Control it. Push it back down. Restrain yourself. And it was always said in this tone, this condescending tone, that I was out of line. I was doing something wrong. I was doing something bad. I was bad just for being me, being real, being completely authentic in that present moment, what was going on, releasing, saying whatever was going on. It was like, no, restrain yourself, control, pull it back in. And that's where, like, and a lot of us as children growing up, that stuff stays with us to where we start to inflict that self-inflict that on our own self growing up into adults, justifying it and finding a reason why that works for us as adults now. Why we would, resonate with that sense of reason as adults now, and it makes sense. No, it only makes sense because of the trauma and discipline that you went through, never resolved, and it's actually abuse. It's tremendous amounts of abuse. And that amount of suppression moves into control, because what is suppression? It's someone pushing you back. It's something getting stuffed down. It's an inorganic process, not allowing, okay, which is going to come from control. So we have been taught many forms of control over life and just how to control ourselves, control our own authenticity, control other people, control environments, control all kinds of different things, because that control is what gives the ego that temporary, satisfaction, temporary gratification that it's achieved something, it's obtained something, or it has completely secured something forever, or that it's mine. It's mine. I've got it. I don't have to worry about not having it anymore. If nobody else has it, I still got it. It's like, it's all these forms of control to not admit, to not accept to yourself how really in fear you are, how really scared you are about trusting things out, really scared you are about opening and being vulnerable. That's really all it is again, the control is another bypass. It's a massive wall to keep you from seeing you, feeling you, hearing your own self, or really knowing who you are inside. Because all the layers of control are stuffing it and constricting it. Oh, I don't do that. I don't go out there. I don't do those kinds of sports. I don't do these things. It's like, why? From your own sense of control, of what you think you're capable of, what you think will happen, or what you think will come about in that experience. So it's all out of control, and you trying to get ahead of it instead of just embracing the experience for what it is. So you can see with just all this dysfunction that we just expressed and talked about, how many layers and where it's really stretched out in. How in the world do you feel when God is pushing, intuition, discernments, all these different things, channelings, all this stuff's coming in, with all this overlay of dysfunction in the way, it is fucking with everyone's ability to discern properly, ability to receive and really feel properly, in alignment and right action with the mom, and actually feel the purity in that. It is constantly tainted by all the frequencies and different layers that you have, especially the ones that you won't even accept, the ones you won't even look at, the ones you won't even acknowledge. They are your biggest blocks and your biggest deceptors within your being that will control, contort, and change any amount of awareness coming through you to where you don't get the full awareness. It's just how it is until you decide to clean up your own mess, until you decide to clean up your own physical being, like a spring cleaning, and decide that actually matters to you, to clean it out. What would you do with a house? You clean the house, and your guests will come over. They don't want to come over to a nasty, dirty house, right? So why would you invite your higher self, your higher soul, mom's divine, beautiful love into your being if you're not going to clean it out? If your body looks like shit, has a bunch of shit in it, but you want beautiful in? It's like, no, why would you? It's just going to taint everything else. It's going to corrupt everything else. Do the work. Get the broom out, get the mop, get the little rag, clean yourself out. Do the work to really get in there within yourself, transform, breathe, feel through it, cry it out. Know what these things are that's driving you absolutely nuts. Don't just be like this insane person and then go to somebody else like, tell me what's wrong with me. No, how about you sit your butt down, write on a piece of paper. I guarantee you will know more about yourself really insightfully if you write like 3 pages and just write. Express whatever's going on inside, and you'll be able to actually see it. You'll be able to connect with it and interface with it differently versus all this junk just roaming around inside that you really haven't got grips on. And it mostly is just generated by your own fear until you express it, and then it's just that energy. Then you can look at just that energy, not all this fear and crap backing behind it that just keeps making it into something else. You gotta completely cut the process off, pull that shit out of the oven, look at it really good, decide if it's done or not, then put it back in, turn up the time, process a little more. If it's done, take it out, get rid of it, give it away, share it, talk about it. You see what I'm saying? It's like, you can't just stop the process and think that you're gonna be okay or that it's gonna get better. It's not. You'll be the one sitting in the lonely wagon by yourself, wondering why nobody's there with you. Okay? Because the process has to keep continuing. You have to keep honoring your process, honoring yourself, respecting yourself, because life is not simple. Okay? God created life to be simple. Humanity did not make it simple. So therefore, we have to simplify things by getting the complex shit out the way. So, where we are in this dysfunction, it's not simple. It's chaotic. Okay? So therefore, don't have this linear prediction on yourself or how long something is supposed to take, how long something is supposed to occur in a process or be, and then you should arrive here at this time. No, absolutely not. All of these different layers and just parts of your consciousness, again, they depend on you to be fully aware of them. So even if you are reflecting, even if you are writing and you're in so much resistance and control and just like lack of surrender, you're not really allowing yourself to really receive what's already been turning around inside you already. It's like, that's the redundancy of how much we want to control how much we know, because we're scared. We want to control how much we are aware of. We want to control how much we are told. We want to control how much we find out because of control and fear. But ultimately, the addiction and obsession with not knowing drives us to have to figure it out. It's like this slingshot back and forth, basically driving you insane for no reason. Because you'll control out of not wanting to know, but then the obsession in not knowing will push you into more control to make sure that you're safe and good until it happens. It's like, that's absolutely insanity. Completely. It's like splitting yourself into two different people trying to fight for the same space in your body. Neither or accepting of the reality that the single being actually has. Like, it's crazy. All beautiful. Oh, I love you all. Yeah, there's always going to be whores. Always going to be people that disagree. You know what? And those are the beings that have the harder paths. They have more intense, extreme paths, which God, number one, never wanted for you. But the fact that you have to accept your divinity, you are wanting the highest amount of pressure on your ass to get you to wake up. So, Ayla, beautiful, I would get moving if I were you. And I would keep my mouth shut unless I'm pretty sure what I'm talking about. Because talking actually increases dysfunction times 3. Meaning you're amplifying your dysfunction currently, whether you're typing or talking, doesn't matter what it is. If you're not actually reflecting on what you're saying and intentional on what you are saying, oh, love, you are screwing yourself up. And the chatterbox, the talking and the thinking you know better and all the mockery, guess where that energy comes back to? You. And you have to process it. You have to transform it. You have to heal that. So, I mean, if you want to bury yourself in more dysfunction and density, please, by all means, love, sign up for the karma. We got a lot of it to go around. Sign up for karma all day if you want. Get the lessons. You know, but at the same time, it's like you're going to learn. It's like, maybe I should love myself a little bit more. Maybe I should shut my mouth and actually receive and listen. Because that actually might save me a lot of hardships I'm currently going through if I could just correct them. If I could just look at myself and be real and authentic. So, it is what it is. But I love you all. Your mom loves you all. You know, these are always pinnacle moments. You know, especially the moments we are in right now that we are moving up. I mean, telling you, the energies are like climaxing. It's going up. So there's no like up and down. There's no like, oh, we'll go down. No, we're moving up right now. Like the energy in the etheric is climaxing. So like that really truly means is more manifestations are coming. More energy is getting anchored in. And I've been seeing a lot of bears lately. And the bears are very symbolic for grounding forces, grounding higher forces. And it's that's mama right there, And I saw one yesterday, and it's like as these energies keep building up, it's like mom's bringing like it's like we're grounding massive forces, but it's gonna change the physical in so many different ways, even people's consciousness, how they perceive things, how they look at them, how they think, how they feel. All of this is undergoing a massive restructuring process right now, which is why if you actually feel back to like 2 years ago, actually it was like 2 or 3 years ago, mom was very adamant with all of you, and she shared that at a certain point when she unplugs humanity will have a matter of moments to get into the heart. Because to see what will happen is the amount of energies that are going to be pouring onto this planet as they are now keep increasing. So if everyone's in the mind, if they're just using their brain continuously and they're not actually reverting to the heart, the brain is going to keep trying to speed up to match the energy on the planet that's coming in. Now, here's a little key advice. The heart space is the only organ, place, energy center in your entire being that can generate and process and transform high amounts of energy at one moment. Your brain was not designed like that. Though for the brain that we're using right now, the capacities that it has are extremely limited and they're stretched. So the brain will keep trying to amp up. It'll keep trying to speed up, trying to keep up with the energies to the point of getting fried out. And that's what's going to happen to a lot of people. It's already been happening. Seizures and all kinds of different things where the brain cannot keep up with the pace and energy on this planet. It will not, it cannot, and it cannot sustain itself. It can't. And with how much dysfunction and diseases and just damage the brain has taken on this planet, that so many people have holes and all kinds of different things, head injuries, where the brain isn't even at its full capacity, and yet it's now being pushed to reach a higher capacity than it was designed to. Meaning there's going to be a snap. Do you hear that? There's going to be a snap at some point where this brain is going to fry completely out, not able to keep up with the pressure. At that point, don't even worry about going to the heart space. If you weren't worried about going back to the heart space while you were overusing this organ, don't worry about when it finally fries out. It's like you're done. Like, these are your choices to get in the heart now. Learn how to feel now. Learn to be real and vulnerable now and get this energy more organic and push through this center versus trying to be thinking all the time. Trying to be in the mind, trying to analyze things, being in logic. It's not going to save you. It's not going to help you. It's just all forms of control that you won't trust, so you have to use the brain to figure it out first, then I'll trust. What's my reason? I don't know. Just do it, right? And then this is Mother Mary laughing. And this is what's happening, okay? People are getting sicker. Their bodies are getting worse. The damage is getting worse. The pain is getting worse. Why? Because the brain that's connected to everything cannot sustain itself anymore. It cannot handle these energies by itself anymore. It is designed to work in hand with the heart space. Your pineal gland, everything, all your crown chakras, third, all that is supposed to work in tandem with your heart space. Without this anchor, without this center for it to focus all the energy and funnel it through, your brain is just getting overloaded and it's blowing up. If you think you're going insane, it's probably because you really are. And the brain synapses and everything, the neural pathways, everything in your brain is getting fried and lit up and stretched so far to the point where it's going to start snapping, completely frying out, short-circuiting, you name it. The circadian rhythm is completely just going to give out. And that's going to be some shit, So, get ahead of the energies, focus on yourselves, drink tons of water too. And this is the insane thing, like even with how overextended humanity is in the mind, using the brain over and over again, they're not even doing the basic practice of just replenishing it. The brain needs water, okay? I will be so real with y'all. The brain, not just the body, the brain itself needs water. So if you're not drinking water and you're drinking soda and other bullshit, or not even drinking anything at all, you're just like a dry fish, why do you think your body is in pain? Why do you feel your experience is so chaotic? and intense and suffocating because you're not even giving your body the ability to breathe properly, to work. Like, you are more than 75% water at this point, okay? So if all the energy is coming through this body, it basically is like having a car. You put gas in the car works, right? So this body is more than 75% of water. At one point in time, we tried to tell us it was 75%. No, it's more now. It's more water now. So therefore, if you're not upkeeping with that and keeping that regimen and keeping your body sustained with that, you are basically telling your body, like a car, get me 20 miles down the road and no gas in it. Do you imagine how fucking scary of a situation that's going to be? You on a highway, you're like, oh, I don't even know I'm going to make it. I'm just like, you're praying every damn second, but please make it, please make it. You really want to cause that kind of experience for yourself where you are barely making it, where you're barely scraping by, where you barely know if you're going to arrive, but you're still going to push it on that half capacity, no capacity, half-ass, self-neglect. You're still going to push it that far doing that versus just stopping, getting prepared a little bit, drink some water, go outside and ground, get ready, feel better, then take on the same thing you were going to do anyway, stubbornly in pain and suffering. You see, so many things could just be corrected if we just put the right intention and actually put ourselves first, loved ourselves, took care of this body that God gave us, because nobody else is going to take that good care of it. It's your body. Who else is responsible? You. So all this has to be correct. These things have to be looked at. The control, where we're putting this energy, where are we focusing on? And it has to all come back into the internal being, into the self, into the heart space, where we can internalize all these experiences, transform them, and reach the highest state of consciousness and vibration with them through the experiences. But if you can't see that, if you can't feel that, if it's not something within your capacity to perceive, do not look outside yourself expecting it to happen. It will not. And that'll be all your disappointments and expectations that will come flying back in your face because you're not ready for that experience. Thus, you think you are, you want it, you're desiring it, you're lusting after, you're going for it, out of control and manipulation, all kinds of things. But you individually are not prepared for that experience yet, to take it on and handle it in the highest vibration of love yet, to be able to see everything you need to see in that. Therefore, God's not giving you the green light. You're not getting the pass. No matter how much you kick and scream and throw a tantrum and fight, it's not going to happen. No matter how much you blame and project and it's all everyone else's fault, it's not going to happen. Because you have to get yourself to that self-awareness where you realize, oh, I'm doing this. I'm manifesting this. I'm co-creating this with others. This experience. If I pull out, if I can transform this now, boom, that experience evolves to the highest point. Nobody wants to be the bigger person. Nobody wants to just move on. You know, that's the main thing where like people are like, oh, they'll do that. They'll go out and control like that. Be control out of spite. Be control out of manipulation, deception. And all these different things are different forms of where the ego just cannot trust, cannot allow, cannot just accept, cannot let go, cannot surrender. So therefore we go back to control. And control is one of the biggest reasons why humanity is not happy. Control is the biggest reason why humanity has not reached a higher joy yet. Because they're trying to control it. How do you control joy? How do you control happiness? Like I got so sick of the word, like the phrase where like my dad or like when I would work for corporate America in different places, and they're like, this is a controlled environment. It's a controlled facility. It's like, it makes your skin just like crawl. It makes your whole body's like, I don't even want to be in here then. Get me out. You know, like just to have physical structures that are labeled as such. Controlled facility, controlled building, controlled structure, controlled procedure. It's like, no. There's no organic, there's no love, there's no life in it then. It's completely computer, spit out of a computer. Everyone's robotic minds trying to dictate and predict what's best and all these different things, math and science. Shut up. No, it's not real at that point. Because all these fears, all the paranoias, all these anxieties and like, oh, this could happen, all that is fed into that at that point. By the time they reach the goal or their truth, it has been filtered through all this sloshy crap of ego filters and layers, that by the time they get their answer that they are so bought on and sold on, that they're going to run around telling humanity about, it's so corrupted already. It's already diminished. It's already ruined. And that's what they try to build on top of the foundation, which it will not stay, it will fall. And thus it will create this frustration and agitation in humanity that's not working, so they push more into control, to control it more, to see if they can get it to work anyways. By not accepting and not surrendering that it needs to be done a different way. Stubbornness, perpetual redundancy. And that does not bring anyone happiness or joy at all. Oh, these comments are so lame, man. It's funny because I can see so many comments before, or actually after the stream's over, but not while I'm on the stream. It's weird. It's like it cuts off mostly everyone's comments. So let me see. Go this way. So I want to see if anyone has any comments before we start wrapping up today. Let's see. There we go. There we go. Nope, still the same comments. I don't know. I'll have to look at that later. Some weird censoring crap. But I am grateful to all you commenting, and I love you all. I just can't see them all right now. So I know you're there, but I can't see them. But yeah, definitely, the control is where a lot of, especially for me, myself, I even had an experience this morning or like a little bit earlier, where, I had to ask for help, and that, it always throws me for a loop sometimes because I used to be a very, very prideful person on like how self-sufficient I used to be. And I still am self-sufficient, but there was a lot of arrogancy and pride with where I just had to live that life. And it really, in looking back at it, it didn't bring me happiness. It was not something I would have chosen to live if I had a choice. If I could have gone a better way, if I knew a better way, I probably would have gone that way. I chose that life out of not thinking I had any other choice. So, that pride and arrogance, it definitely was a massive wall where I did go through pain and suffering a lot of ways, just figuring things out by myself, doing things by myself, accomplishing things by myself, which I'm grateful. I got stronger and I was more capable of doing a lot of things that, I didn't need help with. I could do it with one person, and that was an amazing, experience, but at the same time it was very lonely. At the same time it was so much out of control because of the lack of trust, the lack of faith in other people, the lack of being able to rely on others, that they would show up, that they would help you, that they would honor what they said. And that's such a big trigger with me. It's such a big wound I have within myself where I've been definitely the person down the lane where a lot of people have told me things and they don't show up. They never there. And of course, I've always had to do damage control. There's the control again, where I've had to control the damage that transpired from what happened and basically just clean up the mess myself, figure it out by myself. Their short-term notice at the end where it's like I could have had more help or I could have figured out myself if I had more time. It's like there's always these reasons why I should control, reasons why I shouldn't not allow the experience in the first place, because then I'm stuck at this moment now where I'm figuring out last minute by myself all these different things, and that's been a constant thing. Way less now, since being on mission stuff, but in my life it was a big thing, and it is not a life I would ever push on anyone or want anyone to do, because it really isn't what it is seen as. It's not what it's all made up to be. You're not some freaking shining Hercules that just can just soar over the sun and just handle everything. And there's a lot of moments that out of that perfectionism, which is part of my Virgo moon I have, that perfectionism and just wanting to control it my own way, it's so lonely. And it comes out of just like not being able to really accept that there are people that are there for me to support, to love me, to depend on, that will show up when they say so. It's not going to be like every other time. So then that's where I had to step back from my control, from my distrust, allow the experience, allow it to show me the truth versus thinking I know what's already going to happen. So that definitely is a very powerful experience. I definitely encourage everyone to, look at themselves, try it out, step out of that box, get out of your comfort zone and see what happens, see what comes up that you have to face, at that point. And it'll just help you bring yourself more further within. Show yourself how many layers you have, where your energy has been going, what have you been doing your whole life, these last few years, what have you been doing with your energetics? And once you get a pinpoint on that, once you have awareness of where you are at energetically and where your pockets of density are, where your triggers are, where is this at, you have a more over-encompassing view of yourself, where it's like you're moving as one more because you're more aware of yourself as one. And it all matters to you. It all is forgiven. It's all love. It's all transforming. It's all healing. There's not these different parts you're trying to cut off yourself. Like, well, this is ugly. I don't want this. And I don't want that. I'm going to cut that off too. And then I'll just clean up the rest of it and then I'll be divine. No, that doesn't work like that. Every single piece of you has to flip back into golden, beautiful, divine divinity. And that's through your own personal work. You ain't cutting shit off. You ain't gonna have a makeover. You ain't getting things done. Reduction, all is new. Doesn't matter. Does not change anything energetically to your being and what you have to do to get through, to transform and evolve, to realize yourself and to keep leveling up with these energies and keep becoming your own master, your own mastered being of your own soul, your own life, existence, essence, energetics, to where everything you do is that much more expansive, that much more mom, that much more love, that much more service to humanity. You keep expanding and getting there by choosing the same consistency, intention, discipline, practice. What's the purpose? And never changed since the beginning of mission, so it should still be the same one now, right? And this will help you stay aligned. It will help you keep your own inner compass on point. There's a lot of people with distrust, lack of confidence, insecurities, that will dictate your compass. You'll go all over the place. You're like, well, where am I going? I don't know. Distrust, like lack of faith, like, I don't know. You're like going all over the place. Until you get those things breathed in, let go, forgiven, and show yourself why you should trust. Show yourself what you're missing out on if you're not trusting. Show yourself what you're missing out on if you're not embracing life, if you're not being vulnerable with life. You're missing out big time. And how are you going to get the bigger, grander experiences, the beautiful magic in your life if you're not even going to open up for it? It does not happen unless you allow it, until you accept it, until you surrender to it. It has nothing to do with control. There is no order coming down to you from God, which is like, oh, how you feel about this? Well, one thing, Mom, we can take this off and wait, maybe save it for later. Then I'm okay with that. It's like, no. This is all part of the divine plan. It's all coming up and releasing. So the biggest test for humanity is acceptance. It's just accepting that these things you've known, and most of these things you've known for your whole life. It's the reason why you have therapists. It's the reason why you take pills. It's the reason why you live alone. It's the reason why you have animals. It's the reason why you don't live with, in big community spaces. Why you live on a farm by yourself. It's like, these are all, you have known for a long time how much control you have. You've known for a long time what your control is hiding from you. Now we're at the point where we just got to accept it and get through it. There's no more hiding. There's no more leaning around the bush anymore. There's no more prolonged 2-year plans. It's all out. It's gone. The acceptance is what's going to free you and help you feel better with that shit not in you. But if you're going to control, hold back, pull back, need initiations, need a reason for why you should heal or look at yourself and reflect, no. God does not have time for your pity party. God does not have time for you to waste hating yourself and neglecting yourself, holding back the divine plan. She has no more moments for that. So mom's going to put the pressure on everybody, and she's going to drive them up anyways. And then the test now at your point is to accept it. And the longer it takes for you to accept it, the more intensity increases, you see, until you surrender and accept. Because you are not getting around the acceptance and the surrender. That has to be passed, must be mastered, must learn it for yourself, because there's a lot more moments coming where that's going to be a part of your masterhood. So it's not just a one-time thing where you have to learn, oh, I'll surrender now, I'll accept now. It's every single time. as it keeps coming in faster and faster and faster. And every time you do it, you get better. Every time you do it, you feel more comfortable, more confident, more stronger doing that, more trusting in that, because you are seeing your experiences change for the better, and it's making you excited. It's waking up the inner child, it's bringing the magic, the synchronicities. You're seeing mom all around you. It's changing everything how you see it, because you're allowing it, because you're accepting it. You are intending that. Therefore, that's all your reality. That's all life has to share and give you is the best. It's mom, because that's what you're choosing. That's what your intention is. That's what your practice and disciplines every day. That's what you are applying. It says mom. It says grander experience. It says 5D. Now, if your experience is not saying that and showing that and reflecting back to you that in any way, it's because that's not what your intention was. It's not truly what your purpose is. And if that's not, you would need to look at that. It's probably something self-important. It's probably just about yourself. It's probably just what you want to do. It has nothing to do with the rest of humanity. It has nothing to do with a planet that's been suffering, that needs to move to 5D. It has nothing to do with what the mission mom went on. So that's where you really have to assess yourself. Is my intention out of self-importance? Am I really just worried about myself? And that's going to block a lot of manifestations and grander experiences coming, because it's for the whole. Mom is in this for everybody, not just a few people. No. It doesn't work like that. So everybody coming together as unity, experience, opening up, being vulnerable, and allowing these things to come in. That's how it works. It takes a lot of trust. It takes a lot of vulnerability to be able to work with yourself and other people, and be able to work on a collective experience and manifest things like that and push forward. Being a team in unity takes a lot. Okay? And we've all got a long ways to go. Gratefully, we're not going to take that long to get there. If you caught that, good. Because the pressure is coming. Time is up. She's pressing the red button. Okay? Actually, it's funny. I said red button. Something about a red button earlier. Years ago, and I just heard that again. It's like mom's pushing the red button, and it's go time. Okay? It's time to lift off. It's time to really get things off the ground so we can see them clearly and stop straining our heads, like looking around like a bunch of bobbleheads, like, oh my God. No, it's time to just pick it all up off the ground. Let's bring it all up. Let's look at it. Let's breathe it in, feel it, see it, and let's clear it one last time and just get over it so we can move to higher places of getting to know each other, connecting with each other, so we can truly become that intergalactic species that we are evolving into. No longer interplanetary, we are going intergalactic. So this is big potatoes, big sauce. It's definitely incorporating everybody. Everybody is a part of this experience, a participant. You would not be here living and breathing on this planet if you were not having a role or you were not a participant in this. It just would not happen. At this point on this planet, with how much density and the urgency of what is taking place with the global planetary ascension, only souls that absolutely are here for ascension got on this planet. Everybody else, they probably don't have souls. They're probably apparitions. But the souls on this planet are here specifically for the global ascension process, for the mission, for the global awakening process for humanity. To not only be a part and participate in that experience, but also to witness. And that's another big thing. Like, I got that download like a couple years ago, and I feel it was before mission started. And there's like this download that was coming to me from mom. This like, she needs witnesses. This ascension and what God had to go through was not just so it can just happen in a blink of an eye. It's happening in this way and how it's occurring in everyone's life because it has to be something that's witnessed in life. We as conscious, aware beings and souls have to be able to perceive, consciously know this experience is happening and be able to observe it and witness this experience in all the different ways we have a possibility to. That is why we are here, ultimately, is to witness this massive change. So that does not mean walk blindly through. It doesn't mean be numb, be in control, be closed off, lack of vulnerable. No, you're here to literally witness this ascension process in every sense of the word. Physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. In all the ways and forms that you are a multidimensional being, you're here to witness it through every single one of those lenses. And know that it's God. Know that we have made it. Know that where we are going, That is truly why we were here. It has nothing to do with a job, has nothing to do with having a family, has nothing to do with going to school, has nothing to do with any of that shit, has nothing to do with war or anything. It is literally here for life, for God, for an experience and evolution process that we've been through so many different times. That's why we're here. We have to unplug ourselves from the external materialistic stuff. That literally is just it's a figment of imagination in most parts. It's very fickle. It'll be here for a moment, it'll be gone. But that's where humanity puts all of their energy, their focus and attention on trying to keep that in the physical, keep it sustained, keep it here forever. It's like, no, these things will shift immediately as soon as humanity starts changing their consciousness. Boom, we'll have higher forms of evolution. Why you want that junk? We can probably create something way more better 5D now because we've actually got past our shit. And we can actually see it, we can feel it, we can have the compassion and the love to even want to do that for not only ourselves but other people and make life easier versus making these stupid 3D smart technologies that just overall are just more complex, more retarded, more dumbed down, probably take more effort and freaking agitation to figure out the smart technology nowadays versus the simplicity from before. And that's not 5G. That's not going to more higher simplicity. That's getting more complex, more sophisticated, more dysfunctional. Having a superficial layer of, oh, that's divine and that's new cutting edge tech. Once you get in that thing, it's like a fucking mousetrap. It's horrendous. All these pointless features, pointless apps and things like that. It's not efficient to the point where it's like, okay, this purpose is for humanity's awakening, for the global ascension. Can you imagine what a phone would look like if it was actually intended and its purpose was based off of that intention? Holy snap, we'd have a whole different device in our hand probably at that point. But that's not the intention. It's not the intention of our tools that we use on this planet. That's not what they were created for. So we're trying to get somewhere with things that were created out of dysfunction, and we're trying to reference the new place with the dysfunction. It doesn't work. You'll never get there. That's why Mom had to come in and she had to completely bring in the whole new blueprint, bring everything back to simplicity, bring everything back to basics, so we can actually have a foundation in this thing and know where we're going and what's up and what's down. Because humanity was so turned around and flipped and just confused on every level of what life was, what God was, what's happening, why are we even on this planet? Had no idea. And Mom had, through so many lifetimes, had to keep incarnating to bring these awarenesses and these truths to us so we could keep leveling up, keep expanding and growing and maturing, because the beings on this planet were not even interested in assisting us with that process. It wasn't their concern, it wasn't their purpose, it wasn't their goals and their very short lifetimes that they were worried about. They were all self-important, meaning it had nothing to do with the greater whole, which means the greater whole suffered, and we have. You're seeing it, you're living in it, you're breathing it. So at this point, it's really where we let go. It's where we trust, we have faith, we surrender to Mom, we surrender to the divine plan, what God has said for years and years, all the truths she's given us, the trainings and just the codes and nuggets Mom's given each and every one of us individually. It's time to respect that, honor it, hone that in, develop into something, develop a process from it, develop a discipline from it, keep going. If you're not making any intention or have any application at all with any of that, you're not doing any of your work, you are going to get slammed with these energies. You're not going to feel good. You're going to be blowing up. You're going to be walking around in pain. Your body's not going to work right. Everything's going to be locking up on you. Everything's going to feel like a drain to you. You're not going to have energy. This is all going to be your experience out of your own choice not to follow up with yourself, not to support yourself, not to make sure that you are okay. If you're not doing the basic things to make sure your energy in your body is moving, do not complain to God when your body is filling up and you don't know what to do, because you are not helping yourself, right? And these are the things, this is that tough love. Really looking, so how much are you really showing up for yourself? How much are you loving yourself? Because your experience is going to show you exactly how much you are showing up and taking care of yourself. By your overall experience, how you're feeling, how you're doing, how's your health? What's your mood like? What's your experience today? If you're not focused on any of that within yourself, or to reach a higher level of experience with joy and happiness and health and well-being, do not complain to God when you get the shit. When you get the shitty order, don't complain to God. Because you weren't raising your hand saying, I want the grandest. You weren't stepping up to do, I want the grandest. You weren't moving your ass to get the grandest experience. So why are you going to sit here and complain now and project and blame because it didn't come to you? Come on now. Don't be childish. You got to really wake up, get your balls, look yourself in the face in the mirror and say, we got to get this, okay? Got to get real, got to move my butt. Mom's completely set me up. Mom has set me up on everything. I just have to choose it. I have to surrender to it. I just let go of my control and trust that truly the grandest, the greatest, most amazing experiences truly can happen. And they will. If I get out of God's way, though. You see? Step out of her way. Allow mom to show you how amazing. Mom is like, loves surprises. She loves joy, happiness, laughter, you know, like those moments of just like magic where it gets you and you're like, holy snap, mom, I didn't even see that coming. And she's just in there laughing her butt off. You know, that's what mom lives for. That's what she's pushing for. Ding. So like if you're sitting there scared that something bad's gonna happen or something that's gonna like, you know, really gonna fuck you up, it's like you really don't trust God. You really don't have faith in God, and you really don't trust in the unknown, that it's really the best for you. So gonna kind of be your experience until you get to that point, and no one can really help you because it's something you have to choose to let go of your fear and accept that God is real and God does care about you and God is pushing for you in every sense of the way, and you'll arrive and it's gonna be okay. But if you fight her on it the whole way because you think you know what's best or you want it a certain way, it's not gonna go as easy. It's gonna be a bumpy ride. And you only have yourself to blame after that point. And then you have to forgive yourself because you are getting in God's way of what you are asking God for, but now you want to control it. It does not work that way. It does not manifest that way. It's a oneness. And you have to be one with mom to manifest the oneness. If you're trying to still do duality, two parts, like, oh, well, that's you and this is me, it's like, no, you still lost it. You're lost. You still fucked it up. Oneness. One. That's it. Okay? Then everything becomes a one experience. Then that's bliss. That's joy. That's happiness. Not split personality, not split reality, not split expressions. No, it's oneness, centeredness. And that's how the stability flows. That's how the harmony flows, the love flows, the peace flows through the oneness. That's it. Okay? I love you all. Thank you all for joining today. I don't see any comments. Man, these comments really suck. But we love you. You know, please take care of yourselves. Show up for yourselves. Drink lots of water, especially in these moments, and especially if you've been releasing a lot of energy, you know, bathroom breaks, crying, sweating it out, whatever. There's a lot coming up, so keep putting the fluids back in your body. Keep drinking more water. Pray over the water. Put intention and thank you, angels, for blessing this water. I transmute to the highest vibration, highest consciousness, highest love. I intend it to do whatever my physical being needs for the water to help replenish the cells, rejuvenate my body, restore my muscles, my bones, my tendons, everything, my brain. Intend amazing, powerful results within your water and drink it and be amazed. Watch what mom does through you. But if you don't even want to do that, if you don't even want to intend, you don't even want to pray, what are you really complaining about and blaming other people for? You are not even doing the basic, simple things. And prayer is very powerful. The power of intention is very, very powerful. As a being on this mission for 3 years, mom, intention is very, very, very powerful. And it will change a lot of things solely and simply just with the intention. It will change everything. Okay? So really get a good grip on the intention with yourselves. Focus, feel into it. Where are my intentions at? Where's my purpose at with this? And if it's off, it's okay. Forgive yourself, love yourself, nurture yourself. Have compassion and patience. Don't just rip yourself up because now you realize, oh, I fucked up. Or like, oh, I was wrong. No. Calm down. Be patient. Relax. And allow yourself just to get back on track. Okay? That's all you really need to do in that moment. Once you are aware you're off track, just move and get back on track. In that moment, make the correction. Okay? Back on track. God's happy with you. Okay? As long as she sees that She can see you become aware, oh shit, I'm offline. All right, I'm back online, pushing for mom. She sees that, she's in joy. Highest states of joy right there. Watching you observe yourself, become aware you're out of right action or alignment, then pull back into alignment and keep moving, she's happy with you. She is so grateful. And you can bypass all the judgments, the opinions, the self-ridicule. Like, no, God doesn't do any of that. The self-criticism that we inflict on ourselves does not exist for God, okay? So all the while, what she's observing and watching is your mastering that process. Can you go through that process? Realize that you might have gone the wrong direction. You're like, you know what? I'll go back this way. I'm not going to judge myself. I'm not going to be mean to myself or cruel. I'm not going to banter myself. I'm just going to correct it and it's going to keep moving forward because I know this will make me happier. I know this will help me feel lighter, more relieved, to help me heal more and release more energy from my being. That's positive intention. Those are higher perspectives. Not focusing on like, oh, I was wrong and I wasted 2 years on this and now I can't get that time back and I just look like a complete idiot. I'm embarrassed. And get rid of all that crap. Mom doesn't want to see any of it. It's all ego crap. It doesn't even exist. No angel in heaven is doing any of those things to you. No angel in heaven is sitting there judging you, watching you, like, oh my gosh, you're a complete dumb. Like, no, absolutely not. So if we can get to that process without being self-critical, self-judging, self-opinionated, very condescending to ourselves and me, or even to others as well, and we just focus on, okay, let's put it back in alignment, keep pushing. What's next, mom? Beautiful. You just passed all tests with green flying colors. And you didn't stress out. You didn't pull your hair out. You didn't freaking have a meltdown on the floor about it. You just corrected it, being at ease, and now you're moving forward in faith and trust with mom that it's all going to be okay. It's all God has ever asked you to do. It's just trust her and surrender to the flow of energy from her. Everybody else has their own game plans. Everyone's got like, you see what I'm saying? Just let go of it all and trust that mama's got you. She's got it all figured out. She's got it all set. And she has in store the highest, grandest experiences and magical events for every single one of you if you get out of her way and let her show you. Okay? Then you'll see it. All right. I love you all. Please take care of yourselves. We'll see you guys back tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. 6 a.m. Mountain Time, 8 p.m. or 8 a.m. Eastern Time. All right. Love you all.